back, everyone. Thank you again for joining us on this panel. I'm very excited to be able to welcome our very first guest speaker, Leslie Bernard Joseph from Coney Island Prep. Leslie is the CEO at Coney Island Prep. For those of you who don't know much about Coney Island Prep, it's in the south side of Brooklyn, and it is a K-12 public public charter school in New York City. So with that, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
So education is actually very near and dear to my heart. When I came to the United States, I studied at Columbia and up in Harlem. And then at that time, I actually did my evening volunteering at Columbia for the residents of Harlem community to give them a second chance to graduate from high school. So I was teaching evening GED classes. And the commitment the students put into coming to the classes so that they can have a second chance in life and get their high school diploma was very heartwarming. So I have strong admiration for you and what your team does at Coney Island Prep. So with that, Leslie, why don't you tell us a bit more about the school and the community that you serve?
Definitely, I would love to. Thank you again for having me so much. We're really grateful to Simplify Asset Management that our school could be one of the beneficiaries today. So our humble school opened in 2009 to just 90 fifth graders, and we now serve more than 1,300 students across grades K through 12. We serve a predominantly low-income population. The vast majority of our students will be the first generation in their family to go to college. And the smiling faces that you see on the screen are our kids. The other thing that I would tell you is the kids and the families that we serve are much like me. I grew up in this city, the only child to a single parent, a single mom. I'm a first generation American. My mom immigrated to this country. And I'm really proud to be a ex-McKinsey lawyer by training who's serving a community that I came from. Coming from an outer borough, last stop on the train, community that's often forgotten and not thought of when people think about the New York Stock Exchange or Manhattan or the largesse of the city. And so we're really a school that is about equity, about serving kids, about having an impact in our incredible community for our incredible kids.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. So when it comes to Coney Island Prep, what sets it apart from other charter schools as well as other New York City public schools?
I think the thing that we like to focus on is not just equity for our kids, but actually really focusing on results and outcomes. Equity isn't just about our kids having a great school, a great facility, or great teachers. It is also about making sure that the opportunities that they have on the way out from our school are really life-changing opportunities. So what we focus on is actually a school whose mission is to make sure that all of our kids are getting to and through college and the career of their choice. If we're looking at the data of traditional New York City public schools, you have about 80% of students who are finishing school within 4 years, but just 60% of those students are actually getting access to and enrolling in college. And then when you translate that to the demographic of students that we serve, predominantly low-income students of color, what we're actually seeing is just 30% of those students are enrolling in schools. So 3 in 10 of the 900-something thousand New York City public school students are actually enrolling in college. When you break it down to the number of students who are completing college, that number falls to 1 in 9. Compare that with Coney Island Prep, and you have the vast majority of our students graduating our high school within 4 years. 95 to 97% are graduating within 5 or 6 years of our high school. But we're the kind of investment where we are a guaranteed sure shot. You talked about efficiency and impact in your opening. This is what we stand for. Every single one of our kids deserves that opportunity to attend an exceptional college and move on to the career of their choice. So the Coney Island Prep guarantee has been that for 7 consecutive years, every single senior who leaves our doors is leaving with college acceptances in hand. And what's happening as a result of that is 90% of our students who are coming from equity demographics are enrolling in colleges. Coney Island Prep, our mission, we talk about college and career of their choice, and we talk about having the courage to dream and the commitment to succeed. The courage to dream isn't just about dreaming of going to college. It's about dreaming of a more equitable city, a more equitable country. It's about dreaming of a world in which the kids who we say might not be able to make it, we are guaranteeing that opportunity is there for them. And so that's what's really important for us. And I hope it's what sets us apart from just New York City public schools and other charter schools in general. We don't think of it as competition. We think of it as commitment. And I think what we're seeing as a result of that is incredible gains for our students. There's so much out there about what the pandemic has done to and for our children. And what we're seeing right now, we just got some of our state performance test results back. We are not actually allowed to share all the data yet because the state has not embargoed the information. But I am going to clandestinely share you with the growth results, if not the actual results. But we're really excited about what we're seeing. We talked about leapfrogging coming out of the pandemic. We needed to accelerate growth, and that's exactly what we're seeing for our students. And so what I hope sets us apart is our performance, our outcomes. We really put our money where our mouth is in terms of what we hope to deliver our families and our students.
Yeah, perfect. That's beautiful. It's not just sharing the knowledge and imparting knowledge with the students, but allowing them to dream and think about their life forward. So in terms of, I do want to, for those of you who haven't had a chance, definitely take the time to donate to Coney Island Prep. And then separately, I do want to ask you questions about the spend per child from Coney Island Prep basis, because efficacy is important. I know your Coney Island Prep has a more efficient way and really allocating resources to make sure it's impactful.
Sure. The other thing that you said in your opening is it's about doing good and doing well. And if we have the resources, then we need to ask ourselves the questions why. So before I talk about Coney Island Prep being more efficient, I would like to start with the why. Why do we think it's okay to make sure that our students who come from the most vulnerable communities get the least? Why do we think it's okay that in New York City public schools, the cost per child is around $38,000 to make sure that our kids get an exceptional education? But we actually also know that the cost to all of us as taxpayers to incarcerate someone who has terrible life outcomes is in excess of $400,000 per inmate. Why do we think it's okay to have an economy in which we are leaving trillions of dollars on the table in terms of skill gaps? So with that, Coney Island Prep is having these incredible outcomes at a fraction of the cost of what it's taking the city to educate most of its children. But I would actually say that as proud as we are of being able to get these exceptional outcomes, we should really be asking ourselves the question of what would be possible if we could close the gap. Yes, Coney Island Prep spends about $25,000 per student in terms of our state and federal resources, and that is an all-in number on the sustainable cost for the school. So that includes my salary, the salary of all of the teachers and the paraprofessionals and the social workers and the guidance counselors and the deans. It's also every single dollar that we're spending on every textbook, every resource, every computer, everything that we're spending, even on facilities costs and custodial costs to make sure that our students have an exceptional education. But it doesn't cover the cost of the things that we know truly allow us to have life-changing outcomes. It doesn't cover the cost of sending students to study abroad for the summer. It doesn't cover the cost of making sure that our students can go to Harvard or UCLA or Brown over the summer so that they actually can see themselves succeeding on these campuses. Instead of asking what if, we want our students to ask why not. And so my question then for all of us is, why are we not closing the gap on this cost per child for what it really takes for us to educate our students? I think we love being more efficient, but we would even value even more being more effective, being able to close the gap on what the city and the state and the federal government provide. And that's nothing to say of the cost of what it actually takes to educate private school students in the city. We are just 5 miles away from Poly Prep, and I had the privilege of, after being a New York City public school student for several years, to end up studying at a private boarding school in Massachusetts. And I know that the tuition of our private schools is something like $50,000 a year. So what would it look like for our students to have, if not only the same of what New York City public school students have, but even more? You can just imagine what our outcomes would look like.
Beautiful, beautiful. So with that, I do want to ask one more questions about, since you mentioned technology. So AI in the classroom has been a very hot topic. Mm-hmm. And then now, of course, there's always productive use of technology and unproductive use of technology. So based on your opinion, how would you like to see AI being deployed in the classroom productively?
The first thing I would say in terms about use of technology is obviously we got our fair share of rapid learning during the pandemic. And I think the first thing that we learned is there truly is no substitute for an excellent teacher in front of our children. Our children need and they are yearning for that one-to-one connection with a trusted adult to make sure that they're thriving and growing. And then especially as our students progress and get older, the high school experience is really about learning those leadership skills and those peer-to-peer interactions. So we don't think there's any substitute to that, but technology really needs to be used to enhance the learning. And so what we've seen is tremendous gains through the use of personalized learning. Personalized learning has made it possible for our kids to have those questions that they have that they can't immediately get to a teacher, to have that sort of like intimate interaction of something that is constantly pushing them and leveling up and actually changing the questions. And so I think where we would like to see AI used in the short term is support for teachers and support for students in constantly tweaking what those problem sets and those problems are to ask new and different questions that are constantly pushing students on just the edge of discomfort and forcing them to think longer, have that productive struggle before they figure out, like, I actually can figure out the question, but the why is more important to me. And if I can figure out how to struggle with this question even more productively, I'll continue to get pushed every single day, even without the support of an adult. I think in the long term, where we actually see AI being more supportive is helping students who learn in different modalities get this experience of having things summarized for them, but then being forced to ask different questions where they are explaining it back to something or someone or some personalized learning tool that can help them get quicker answers and access to their questions in a more one-to-one individual way.
Beautiful. So I know because Coney Island Prep depends other than the funding from the government and also largely from donations. And then what parting words do you have for the audience here and potential donors out there?
It's a really great question in terms of our parting words. I would leave you with just some conversations in terms of on efficiency, effectiveness, and return on investment. The way that we think about our school, the way that we think about our kids and our community, we talk about opportunity and what our students actually deserve. So the question that I would leave you with, or the charge and the call to action that I would leave you with is, what would you do if you knew that you could have 100% return on investment and 8 times the outcomes for what everyone else is delivering? At what level would you invest? What commitment would you make? We asked this question directly to our students. It's fall, so for our high school seniors, they are incredibly stressed as they start to apply for college. And what we say to them is, we are going to guarantee you that we're going to pay for part of your education. We are putting dollars on the table. And we will start with $250,000, and that's guaranteed for all of you, no matter what kind of school you go to. But we want you to level it up. We want you to find a school that will guarantee that you can go to college for near free. And then we want you to apply to better schools. And if you can make that one-to-one commitment, we will match and close the opportunity gap so that you get to go to exceptional students. And what happens for our students is that they more than close the gap. They end up going to exceptional schools like Georgetown, Vassar, NYU by the Spades, and Stanford, which I'm really proud to say that I lead the kind of school where I can send some of our students to my alma mater, the place that I went to for law school. The question for us isn't just, can we make the investment for our kids, because we know we can. The question for us isn't, what can we do with the dollars to close the gap for our students? The question for us is, what kind of city do we want to live in? What kind of country do we want to live in? What are we actually using the dollars for? And so my request and call to action for everybody in this room and for everybody who's watching online is, please invest in Coney Island Prep, because you are not just investing in our kids, in our community, in our scholars, in their future. What we're really doing is investing in ourselves. We're investing in the kind of city that we want to be a part of, the kind of citizens we want to be, the kind of country we want to be a part of, and the kind of world that we want to have that we're hoping to change for the future.
That's beautiful, investing in a dream and supporting the children K-12 and beyond. So with that, thank you for joining us today, Leslie. Appreciate your time.